Hi everyone, it's Julie Traeger, Health and Wellness Coach. Welcome back to Small Bites, my weekly video blog that gives you all kinds of ideas about how to manage your health, how to manage your nutrition, manage your weight, and just all around live a great life. I've been getting a lot of requests from people to talk about supplementation, which supplements to use for health and weight loss. And I thought since it's the middle of winter and I'm headed down to Florida next week, it's really probably a good time to talk about vitamin D and vitamin D deficiency. So probably 80% of Americans are actually deficient in vitamin D, and that's because it's really hard to get enough vitamin D in food, first of all. There are foods that contain vitamin D naturally: egg yolks, some grains, shiitake mushrooms, fatty fish such as mackerel and sardines, which most Americans don't eat. So it is pretty hard to get enough vitamin D in your diet. And then the other way to get vitamin D is through sun exposure. You hear all kinds of, talk all the time about paying attention to using sunblock so that you don't get skin cancer. But what they don't tell you is that in order to produce enough vitamin D, your body needs 15 to 20 minutes of sun exposure without sunscreen, probably 2 to 3 times a week. So it isn't a lot of sun exposure, but you do need to get some without sunblock every week. And though you can get it from sun exposure, honestly, in the wintertime, when you live north of Florida, far enough from the equator, you really can't get enough from the sun, even if you are out on a daily basis. The sun just isn't strong enough. And there are other challenges to getting enough vitamin D. If you have a high body mass index or BMI, and you can go online and get that calculated for you if you don't know what that is. But if you have a BMI over 27, you're likely, it's a bigger challenge to get vitamin D for your body to at least convert vitamin D. If you're taking some medications like antifungals and steroids, that can make it harder. So there are some, and honestly, if you have darker skin, by that I mean anybody who's not Caucasian, due to the melanin in your skin, that actually makes it harder. So there are definitely some challenges in addition to really not being able to get enough from food in the first place that causes that high level of Americans to have vitamin D deficiency. So because there are so many people deficient, it probably is a good idea to get a simple blood test from your doctor. If you're going to your primary doctor anyway, you might just ask him, hey, can you write me an order to get a blood draw for a vitamin D level? It's a simple blood test. And in a minute, we'll do a little quiz so that if you don't want to get tested, I can at least you can at least quiz yourself and see if maybe you score high enough so that you are highly likely to have a D deficiency. But let's talk about what D does for you. I mean, one of the things that people don't realize, we all know it creates strong bones, but it really is a protective factor against disease. So diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, cognitive impairment in adults, such as dementia, asthma in children. Vitamin D can actually protect you against all of those things. So it is really a good idea to really start paying attention to this possible deficiency. So I am going to do a little quiz for you now. There are 17 questions. Just keep track of your yes answers. You can keep track on your fingers so that when we're done, I'll give you the scoring and let you know if you're highly likely to be vitamin D deficient, and then I'll tell you what to do about it. So forgive me, I'm not going to memorize all these questions for the quiz, so you'll see me glancing down at my paper a little bit. So first question, I work indoors, yes or no? Second question, I hardly ever go out in the sun. Third question, I wear sunblock most of the time. 4, I have seasonal affective disorder or SAD, or I get the winter blues. 5, my home is north of Florida. 6, I have dark skin. And again, any race other than Caucasian will count as a yes answer. 7, I'm 60 years old or older. I didn't say this earlier, but the older you are, the less your body absorbs vitamin D and converts it. So you have another challenge to getting enough D if you are over the age of 55 or 60. 8, I don't eat small fatty fish such as mackerel, herring, or sardines. 9, my muscles are sore or weak. 10, my bones are tender. And a good test for that is if you just take your thumb and press hard on your shin bone. If that hurts, that in and of itself means you're probably vitamin D deficient. 11, I have osteoarthritis. 12, I have osteoporosis. 13, I have broken more than 2 bones recently or fractured a hip. 14, my mental sharpness and or memory are not what they used to be. 15, I have an autoimmune disease. 16, I seem to have more infections than most people I know. And 17, I have prostate cancer. So if you scored 4 or more points on this quiz, you are likely to be vitamin D deficient. If you scored an 8 or more, you could be severely deficient in vitamin D, and then I would highly encourage you to go to get a blood test. If you came up yes to vitamin deficiency, I think the best thing to do if you don't want to go get a blood test is to at least start some supplementation. So I would recommend vitamin D3, 1,000 to 2,000 IUs a day. I would get the best vitamin D supplement that you can afford. And again, it's vitamin D3 that I recommend taking. And so I would go to a health food store rather than getting your vitamin D supplement from like Walgreens or a drugstore. I would get the best thing that you can afford, because it really does matter a lot of the time what you pay for supplements. The quality of supplementation does matter. But again, if you registered, quite high on that scale, I would really go get a blood test, because you actually may need to get a prescriptive dose of vitamin D for a while, until your levels get up to at least fairly normal, and then you can supplement so that you can keep your levels there. So I hope this information was helpful. I will be in Florida next week, so I'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Small Bites. Take care. See you then.